Guys, what's up? Darcy here at 6 Strings 9 Lives. Welcome to episode 27 of 6 with 6 Strings. Wow, I can't believe 27 episodes already, but I got thinking, you know what? I need to do more of these because I absolutely love doing them. It's just a fun way to, share your collection or some of the bands that we love to listen to without spending any more money, because I've always said you cannot survive on updates alone. A, you'll go broke. B, you're going to end up with just a pile of shit that you never needed in the first place. Yeah, I've been down that road. Definitely have kind of tightened up my belt over the past couple of years. Anyways, usually what happens with these episodes, they consist of or centered around 6 random albums or 6 albums with some sort of theme. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you 6 bands, but I'm going to ask the question, are these bands still important to me? I'm sure I'm not the only one that has had, maybe for my age range, there's so much from the 80s that I've loved. There's been, bands that are, no longer around, Motorhead and Dio, things like that. But there's a lot of those 80s bands that are still there. They've had bumps in the road. Actually, you know what? I would say every band has had a bump in the road or they've tried something different. But today I'm just going to share 6 bands with you. And like I said, are they still important to me? So, you're going to get some various answers and maybe a couple surprises. But overall, these 6 bands, 5 out of 6 of them are actually very, huge. They're huge bands and kind of still are. One has been around... The one that's not so huge has been around for years and years. So they all have that in common. I think I've seen all 6 live. But yeah, let me know in the comments. And by no means, am I picking on your favorite band? So if one of these is your favorite band, you know what? There's no need to, get your shit tied in a knot. There is none of that. If that's the case, you've tuned into the wrong channel. All I'm going to do is kind of let you know where I stand with them. And like I said, there might even be 1 or 2 surprises of where I'm at with these bands. So let's start off with the one band that isn't as big as these other 5, but a band that I got into in 1987. A friend of mine made me a mixtape, and it included a song called Chemikill by Exodus. So where I'm at with Exodus, I'll be honest with you, they've been kind of losing me over the past, probably since 2014, since this album came out, Blood In, Blood Out. Now, these aren't completely terrible albums. There's some great songs on it, but I remember just prior to the other one I'll show you here, that came out, and when did this come out? 2021, Persona Non Grata, their latest effort. There was an article or something, Gary Holt said, yeah, we got some great riffs we got some heavy as fuck riffs. That's what he said. Honestly, I don't need that from Exodus. There is one absolutely gem on this album. I'm going to pull this out because this is actually 2021, I think this was my album cover of the year. Just a fantastic artwork. Loved it. Really, I was really looking forward to this too, to be honest with you, because it was a 7-year gap. We know Gary Holt spent some time with Slayer, and you know what, good for him, stuff like that. But I had high expectations for this, but it was a letdown for me. I will tell you that. The one song that I absolutely love on here is called The Years of Death and Dying, which is co-written by Gary Holt and Tom Hunting. It is the Exodus I'm looking for. Actually melodic, great chorus. But there's a couple other really good tracks on here, Prescribing Horror, stuff like that. But I think what I'd like them to do is just dial it down a bit, guys. You're in your 60s. I'm turning 55. I don't need heavy as fuck, okay? I just want that Exodus, that like Tempo of the Damned. That is their excuse me. That is their last really, really good album. Absolutely enjoy that album. It's a little more, excuse me. I was out shoveling snow. Yeah, we got a big dump of snow yesterday. Anyways, back to this. Temple of the Damned, fantastic album. It's a lot riffier, a lot more catchy than these latest two albums. But let me know how you feel about Exodus. If you want some really good Exodus that you missed out on, go back, check out Impact is Imminent. Gary Holt's guitar tone on here is fantastic. I hope this does see a reissue on vinyl soon. And what's next? Let's go to... Okay, here's a band that still huge in the concert scene for sure. I picked this album up brand new, 1987, and I absolutely love it. I would never bash on this album any day. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. This is my original cassette for Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. I don't need to say any more about that album. But these concerts and things like the stadium tour with Motley Crue and Poison, you actually, you know what, you couldn't pay me to, you'd actually have to pay me to go. You would have to provide me with a ticket, spending money, transportation. Then I might consider it. You know, I still have to consider that my time lost away, things like that. I'm just not into it. I think it's a big cash grab. But, you know, for those of you that haven't seen these bands, I do understand. I'm not saying don't go. By all means, if you want to go and you can, you know, concerts are so expensive. If you can afford to go and take the time out, go do it. Fortunately, I've got to see these bands in their, what I call the heyday, or we call the heyday. But after Appetite for Destruction, you had both of these two albums, which I rarely go back to, but I would take the best of this one and make one really good album. But the other thing I really absolutely love from Guns N' Roses isn't a studio album. It is this that came out in 1988, Guns N' Roses Lies. I do actually play this, I don't know, probably once a year. This is awesome. You know, let me know how you feel about, you know, and there's actually another band that I'm going to show you today that is on that stadium tour, and we'll talk about that shortly. But yeah, I mean, absolute classic. I mean, this one I can put on autoplay in my head, just like you can too, probably. Great band. Next up on the list is a band that seems nowadays that either love them or hate them. They get picked on a lot, and that's Metallica. I did pick up the brand new album. I do have it, so I will show it. Yeah, I don't hate Metallica. Well, let me tell you how I feel about Metallica. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was kind of questioning myself. Am I just the first four album kind of guy? And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm lying to myself. You know what? I enjoy the Black Album. It was a huge departure when it came out. But at the time, I don't feel like I felt like I did nowadays. I'm thinking, oh God, they sold out, things like that. I don't think I was thinking that back then. And actually, in 96, Load came out. My first son was born. So I have some really fond memories of that album right here. And I got to see Metallica on the Reload tour. And anytime I've got to see them, Saint Anger tour, Godsmack opened for them on the Faceless album. It was a fantastic show. I know Saint Anger, that's where, for me, that's where it started to drop off for sure. But prior to that, Load and Reload, there is some killer tracks on Load. 2x4, The House That Jack Built, Until It Sleeps, Hero of the Day is a great song, The Outlaw Torn. Yeah, I would take that, and I would say, yes, this is the weaker of the two. And I did get to see them on the Reload tour, I think. Who opened for them? I think Corrosion and Conformity opened for them. But yeah, I don't hate these two albums. I would take definitely the best of both. And again, just kind of similar to the Guns N' Roses albums, make kind of a best of type of thing out of it. But after that, yeah, Saint Anger and Death Magnetic, Hardwired, and the new one. I don't, well, Saint Anger, I'm not a big fan of it. I try, but I just never get there with it. But I don't hate the albums. I just don't get as excited. Not even when 72 Seasons. I know the hype around Metallica is huge, but I just don't get that excited about them anymore. So are they still important to me? There is important periods of the band to a certain point, but after that, no, they're not. But and like I said, these shows and these live shows, they're just getting massive and so costly to even take one in. And unfortunately, the logistics of where I live, it is anywhere from 5 to 10 hours drive to go see one of these shows. So there is there's my little take on Metallica. Maybe you didn't know I was a big fan, I'm a big fan of the album Load. I like I said, yes, we all get it. Things changed back then, and maybe they turned into the band that they always wanted to be or was capable of. So I don't know. Definitely not shitting on them. Next up, so I had mentioned that there was another band on the stadium tour, which to a certain point, I actually had quite a bit of their discography, but I sold everything after this. And this isn't even a studio album from Def Leppard. This is Retroactive. This is my original CD. And to me, this is the last really good thing Def Leppard ever put out. It baffles me a bit of a band that, I'm going to give you an example. I saw them in 1988 live on the Hysteria tour. The set list consisted of 3 albums: High and Dry, Pyromania, and Hysteria. There wasn't even one track from On Through the Night on it. And today, not much has changed. Here we are 30 whatever years later, and the set list is basically the same. They put out a new album, and you're lucky if you see one new track from those. And then the albums that came out just before that newer album, you don't see any. I know that's the case with a lot of bands. And, going back to Metallica, I do respect their touring strategy is fantastic. That 2 different set lists, things like that. But anyways, that is the last thing from Def Leppard that I absolutely love. My favorite album from them still remains High and Dry. This is not only is it my favorite album, it's my favorite lineup. I love Pete Willis. I wish things weren't the way they are. Steve Clark, may he rest in peace. A lot of this band's creativity died when Steve passed away. I totally get that. Still love this album to this day, and I also am a big fan of Pyromania. That was my entry point to Def Leppard, but are they still important to me these days? No, couple important albums, but after that, I have no desire to go see them live. I have no desire to pick up any more of their new material. Like I said, what I had, I don't know, I think I had Slang and 10 or something. I sold it all, I don't know, a few years back. But next on the list, a band that, you know what, is still important to me, and I'll just get that out of the way. And that is Iron Maiden. I'm just going to hold up their latest album. You know Iron Maiden. You know that, you can't beat those first seven albums. And a lot of that for me is just pure nostalgia. And yeah, they're awesome albums. But as lukewarm as I was when this came out, I've really, I don't know, this one has grown on me a lot. And it gets a regular spin. I really enjoy this album. I love the strategy behind Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden is, I've said it before, they are a marketing machine. They have great management. They have, things like the Legacy of the Beast tour. Before that, I saw them in 2008 on the Somewhere Back in Time tour, and now they're the Future Past tour. they know how to incorporate the past with the present, thus the name, the future past, and focus on great albums and mixing it up with their latest effort, stuff like that. And when you can go to an Iron Maiden concert and they don't play Run to the Hills, hey, is that such a bad thing? You heard another great song that they haven't played in years, with like Alexander the Great or something like that. So anyways, Iron Maiden, absolutely. Are they still important to me? Yes, they are. I gotta quit saying absolutely. I still get so excited when anything Iron Maiden comes out, even if it's the 34th live album they've released. I still get excited about it. I get pumped, just like a little kid at Christmas. So let's wrap this one up with another band. And like I said in the beginning, a lot of these bands have been around forever. These guys just appeared live for the first time in years at, what did they call it? Whatever that festival was in the States. But you probably guessed it by now, ACDC. And I just want to throw this out there too. And there's bands that I listen to that, you know what, you can easily pick on them. And like I said earlier, this isn't to pick on any certain band, just letting you know where I'm kind of at. But this band, I think, was one that I was thinking about, as the part of the idea for this video. And it's ACDC. But I'm going to hold up the last great album that I really enjoyed, but it was years ago. 33 years ago, 1990. The Razor's Edge. Now, I'm not saying anything after that to hear is shit, because every album's got some great tracks, but this, I'll be honest with you, this is the last one that I really enjoyed. Almost front to back. Yes, polished production, blah, blah, blah. But there's some killer tracks on here. Thunderstruck, don't care if I ever hear it again, but, or Money Talks. But the title track, The Razor's Edge, it is awesome. Love it. Are You Ready? Got You by the Balls. It's just a fun album. And I'll show you a couple of my favorite AC/DC albums ever, and will remain that way. And these are albums that, these two specifically, I spin at least once a year for sure, no exaggeration. But Highway to Hell, this is one of my gateway bands for sure into hard rock and metal. There is just not a weak track on here. Love it all. And that's definitely one of my favorites from the Bon Scott era. And then my absolute favorite from the Brian Johnson era is Flick of the Switch. This was my first brand new release back in 1983. I remember going into a place called A&A Records, staring at the vinyl. It was huge. I wasn't buying vinyl back then. I should have busted out my original cassette, but this is, absolutely love this album. This is AC/DC scaled back, just the perfect production. The album, don't have to talk that much. So that's kind of where I'm at. And, I should explain a little bit about AC/DC. So I guess they would fall into the category of, maybe Metallica, or as far as me getting excited for new music, I still totally respect that they're still around and giving her, they're just doing what they love to do. And for some of these guys, there is no retirement. It will be kind of like Lemmy, basically, spend your last day on the stage and then you're gone type of thing. And that makes me sad to think about those things, but I am just going to enjoy the ride while the ride's still available or whatever. But let me know. Throw it down in the comments if you have some bands that, are they still important to you? Because, like I said, too, there could be a lot. So hope you enjoyed that episode. Until next time, stay heavy.